Hello, everybody. Today is Thursday, August 4th, 2022. You are here at MS Office Hours, and I am Heather Cox. With me today are my co-hosts.
I'm Victoria Dean.
And I'm Andrea Singh-Rio.
And we are back with part 2 of what we started last week. We were talking about Power Apps and Power Automate and all the good things around there. And it was so amazing that we ran out of time. So we are here again, and I am going to turn it to Andrea to lead the show here for a little bit.
Perfect. Well, Craig is back with us today. We're super excited to have him. But before we hand it off to Craig, we had one more customer that wanted to share the work that they were doing, and Craig will be able to kind of elaborate on some of their work as he's been collaborating with them. They sent it to me in a PowerPoint presentation, so I'm going to share it. It's about 3 minutes long. They voiced over explaining what they were doing, and I think it's really worth taking a look at. But yesterday, when I was on site visiting a customer, my dongle to make my multi-screen setup at home walked away. So it's going to take me a second. Bear with me. I've only got one screen today. Okay, can you hear it?
Nope.
So you'll probably need to share again and then check the box that says include audio from the computer.
Yeah.
Recently completed Canvas Power App and Power Automate project highlighted an opportunity aligned to our district's multi-tiered systems of support work around positive behavioral interventions and supports. This Power App is used by teachers and school staff across the district to highlight a student's positive behavior aligned to the school's values. Using the app, the faculty or staff identifies the student, the value they demonstrated, and provides a note about what they observed. Once submitted, the student and their family receives an email notification of this award, creating more opportunities to communicate with families about student achievements and encouraging student success. Even more, schools can assign points to these awards, later enabling students to cash in their points at the student store. With the adoption by our pilot schools as a success, this app and process has now scaled to all 42 schools in the Kent School District. Each school in the district is able to customize the app with their school values and point system if they choose to use one. Additionally, using the data captured from this tool, we have released a dashboard to school administrators, enabling them to visualize positive behavior across their school and view data by grade level, program, and additional demographics to ensure student positive behavior awards are distributed equitably. School staff have enjoyed the ability at their fingertips to recognize positive student behavior and share that with the student's family, increasing a student's sense of accomplishment and belonging in the school environment and fostering a stronger relationship between schools and families.
So I really wanted to share that one coming from my own K-12 background and all of the, oh my gosh, what is it called? Positive behavior reinforcements that are going on across the country. I think that's just a really cool app to be able to support it and monitor it. And now I'll hand it over to Craig. He can answer questions on that particular app and share some other amazing information with us. Craig?
Yep, thanks, Andrea. My first question is, did you put the Polish subtitles or was that Kent? Because we need to double check on that.
It was definitely me.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for having me back. I am a customer success manager focused on business applications. I support for us, business applications is both Dynamics and Power Platform. And so I have, in talking with Andrea, what I put together was a slide deck that just kind of walks through a consolidated set of resources for both Dynamics 365 and for Power Platform. So I'll walk through that I do share an office with Murphy, so I am not going to do full presentation mode, so I can click back and forth and minimize the chances for things to go wrong. So, but this deck I'll share with Andrea. I'll make sure it's available to everybody. It will have both Dynamics 365 content and Power Platform information, so it's all in there. The first being for, there's certainly some folks that are seasoned in the dynamic, in the documentation capability, but for Power Platform, we do have documentation. So docs.microsoft.com Power Platform, you can see here a number of documentation, training, videos, all in kind of a centralized spot, from admin guide, best practices, guides, information, things like that. And then it just gets into, there's information on Power Apps. I don't know if I've updated, Power BI, Power Automate. I don't think I have the one with the Power Pages, but you'll be able to see that. Power Pages replaces the portals component. The next piece is there are some getting started guides that are available, which take you to the free getting started components. There is a full learning community for both Dynamics and for Power Platform. So for those that have not seen the learning site, this is the Power App documentation. Here is the learning content, all available. You can determine learning paths. You can build a path to a certification. So if you want to take certification classes, but as you can see here, just mapping out the Power Platform, there's 80 classes here. These are all the classes specific to Power Platform or Power Apps. The next piece is the learning community. So there are a few additional components here. One in particular is the Power Platform community that has a number of pieces here. And now I'm sorry. And then there's also a YouTube channel. So full videos capability within YouTube that's out there. That's all out and available to consume. So that's this YouTube channel here at the bottom. Fast Track is Microsoft resources that assist with an implementation. There are typically license commitments, the minimums to get them engaged, but there are valuable resources that they have available. The upcoming events, so a number of events that are out here that you can search on and see what's available, what's happening, what's going on. In addition, we have a number of, as you can see here at the bottom, this partner-led application in a day or dashboard in a day. So we have a potential for some funding to address and put together a workshop, be it 1 day, 2 day, 3 day, on some learning and then building out a use case and then sharing that use case to build an app or a dashboard. So I had a customer in June that we did a 3-day workshop that Microsoft paid for the partner to come in and do a level setting. They did a Power Automate. They built an Automate flow in 1 day, and then they did a governance piece. So there are some options there to explore. There is also a Power Platform user group. So user group for each of the different apps. So you can register, sign up. They are user group events. It will have the conferences. So similar to this kind of form that you have here, that's just another extension or another option to explore that. There's full roadmap information here. I did chuckle when I put this in here because, as you're aware, The exhaustive feedback is actually what drives the impact. So the more exhaustive feedback that we can give and provide, will get information provided. A lot of the feature functionality changes are all driven based on the community and content that's being suggested and commented on and interacted with. For some light reading, in case you have trouble sleeping at night, there's the full licensing guide that's included in here as well. There are case studies, and then there's a last page here with additional references that's available. One of them is the Center of Excellence Starter Kit. So the Center of Excellence gets into your admin governance, understanding what your environment looks like. What we're finding is more and more customers are engaging in the platform and understanding the platform, but also realizing it could become the Wild West pretty quickly in terms of what customers are or what users are starting to do. What are they licensed for? How are we doing governance? So there's a number of options that we have, and to Andrea's point about my engagement with Kent, they're getting ready to add licenses for everybody in the district, all district employees to have the ability to build out apps. And so we're spending a lot of time talking about governance, Center of Excellence, inventory catalog of what they currently have, what can we retire, consolidation of apps, things like that. So that's where I'm engaging with them right now. And then the last slide or last thing I wanted to tell you is we have our first Power Platform conference is coming up in September. And so there will be workshops leading into that. This is the first of its kind that we're doing, but it's all Power Platform, and it will be in Orlando. So it should be an excellent event. I know that they've got a number of people lined up to present and cover that. And I think that's it. So as I mentioned, I'll make sure Andrea has this resource deck, and we can get it to you. Are there any questions?
Feel free to raise your hand, come off of mute, drop it in the chat. Oh, it's a quiet crowd today.
Definitely. Now's your chance. Craig's mind is brilliant, and we've got over 10 minutes to ask him questions and think about things that you're working on your campuses to get started, get ideas, get pointed in the right direction.
Rob. I was like, yes, the head.
Hi, Craig. It's been probably a year ago now. So I worked for a university and wanted to see if it would be possible for us to deploy department level applications with our Microsoft 365 A5 license, and kind of what the boundaries would be for when we would need to purchase additional licenses, like dedicated licenses. And we came to the determination that we could do departmental level deployments and had an idea of those limits. Is that part of your conversations? And is there any more information on that than there was when I did that?
Yeah, it can be. I can tell you, I'm not the person to have those that conversation, but sure, we can find some time and get the right people who can answer that. So for sure, yeah.
Yeah, and just as an FYI, we had several conversations with all the the normal people you would expect, and so it was the conversation ended up almost being okay. So what I hear you saying, and it was hard. I get it. I know it's a hard question because it really depends, right? Everything depends, and so I think we were able to find that right sweet spot where people would feel comfortable doing what they're doing and not creating a problem where they developed an application, deployed it, and now we find out we're running out of, we're right. hitting that. So anyway, So no action items. I was just curious if that's a conversation that happens more often, or
that conversation is happening a lot more often, because now it's, you know, the universities that I'm working with, they have kind of their mission critical kind of core, and they want to start giving schools and different business units and stuff, they want to give them an area to play and develop. And you know, some research group in this school of medicine wants to do some type of research collection, data collection, and they want to have a student who has shown interest in data, blah, 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 but they want to hold them off so they're not doing anything that could do any kind of damage. And that gets into data protection and how are we managing that? So 100%, Rob, those questions are coming up more and more. And that's where, you know, I think the blessing and the curse of what we have done is we've created this excitement and there's this platform. And so we're getting a lot more questions, but then the answer is now becoming even more and more, well, it depends. And so, you know, where I'm working for this year is to get a little bit more clarity around if I have this kind of use case or this kind of scenario, what's the best path to do that? It could be a combination of a support premier type engagement. It could be a partner engagement. So there's a blend of what that could look like. But 100%, those are the conversations we're having right now.
And I like the way you're thinking about that too, because I think that I hadn't even considered what you were just saying, that last thing where you have, you know, engagement beforehand that may be worth it to make sure that we've asked the right questions to recommend the right solutions. So thanks.
And then it becomes then there's also a whole support element of, okay, I've turned you loose, you've built something, and now that professor has moved on or that student's no longer there. And then somebody calls in a panic on a, you know, Friday night that says, hey, I can't find this. And, you know, IT is left kind of scrambling to figure out, A, what are you talking about? B, that's not in our charter. And so how do we kind of manage and navigate that? And that whole promotion of environment from sandbox collects for a one-off type of project to, no, we're getting a lot of use out of this. And that's what that toolkit in the Center of Excellence, what that does is now start to give you that visibility. Hey, we're using this a lot. Maybe we do need to talk about promoting that into a more managed service within the IT at a minimum of what does that look like? I know the other topic that I have a lot of conversations around is how do we do training and skilling for the student or the professors that have raised their hand and said, I'm interested, so that we can start to offload and do that. And, you know, I'm sure you can relate, is in your group, there's only so many people, there's only so many hours in a day. So how do we support that? And so we're trying to get some executive product support to do some curriculum around getting, sorry, my four-legged coworkers are on alert. But getting to a point of how do we skill up and get some folks internally, maybe students or whatnot, that can help with the support and management, and what does that look like?
Perfect. Do you blog about these things that you're doing with customers? I'm just curious.
Define blog.
Well, you know, just throw anything out in the tech community.
I mean, I can send stuff to Andrea, and Andrea can blog. That we can do that.
Okay.
That's what was coming.
No, I heard you as you were talking, you know, and you were giving your presentation about the conversations you're having with different groups, and you know, it would be great if I were following somebody that is putting information out about that to see how much that correlates to my scenario.
Yeah.
And I understand if you don't do it that much, that's fine.
I don't, but I have a feeling that between Heather and Andrea, there will be some highly suggestive notes being passed around that says, you know what Craig should do?
You might have a form coming at you. Thank you very much.
I want to just acknowledge Christine's comment. The Power Platform Conference, it is in person, and yes, it does come at a cost, and we are very aware of that. Yes, That's all I'm
Yes.
going to say.
Yes.
But I did also drop a link to App in a Day. So if you are looking for a quick free App in a Day workshop, the first couple of them, I did click on them just to see they are full because I think it's, because the first couple one has already happened. I think one was actually today. Yes, it was. And then the first couple are definitely full because I think people were so excited about it. But I clicked farther down. There is availability. You can join those. There is no cost for those App in a Day workshops. So definitely a different scale, obviously, than a full conference, but it is not going to cost you anything. So that's always
And
a
I
plus.
can say I've personally taken, when I was at MLC, I took App in a Day and Power BI Dashboard in a day to really start upskilling on the Power Platform myself. And both were really great. Power BI didn't stick in my brain quite so well. I think I need to take it 2 or 3 more times, but App in a Day was really fantastic and I actually got a lot out of it. And so I would definitely recommend those and take a look at them.
Rob, do you have another question?
I did. I was trying to wait in line in case anybody else had one. So one comment, Andrew, I did the Power BI in a day twice as well because it didn't stick the first time. And there was a period of time before I was ready to do something in it. And I took it again at no cost, and somebody else is offering it. And it stuck a lot more because I was getting ready to do stuff, and I actually got a lot of questions answered about what I was attempting to do. So, so Craig, you had mentioned as you were talking about there was you did like a 3-day App in a Day workshop,
Yeah.
and Microsoft paid for it. I'm assuming that coincided with onboarding on Microsoft 365, a E or A license of some sort.
It's tied to a license, event.
Yeah.
But if that's a renewal or whatever that looks like, we could take some creative license in terms of what the opportunity looks like, and as long as there's a Power Platform component, we can look to take advantage of that. But I think that's where, kind of as you mentioned, even what Andrea's saying, that the App in a Day becomes fairly generic in that you could build an app, that says, how are you feeling today? And then,
Right.
and so it's hard to then translate, hey, I'm trying to build an app because I have a use case from a school that has X, Y, and Z. And so that's where, as we align the event of, hey, we're evaluating adding more licenses, we want to get into the premium connector, all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That is when we can align. Let's look at a workshop that can be some education, and then we scope so that when we build an app, it becomes version 1 of the app you're looking to build, or version
Excellent.
1 of that automate.
So it's a little bit of a hackathon as well, right? Where
Exactly.
you're taking
That's exactly what it is. Yep.
Very good.
So then when you walk
great
away,
idea,
you've
too.
got that app, you're building something that, clicks, and now we've got some starting points there.
Perfect idea. Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, if there are no other questions, I think that's probably a good point to wrap it up. Oh, Andrea, go. Yeah.
So I do have a question, not related about this particular showcase, but what as a community do you want us to put together as our next showcase? And what do you want to hear from each other? I'd love to just have you drop that in the chat. What solutions are you looking for? This was really, I love hearing from you as the customers of what you're doing and how you're doing it. And so we'd love to start putting together additional showcases in the future. And so what could we do at the end of September that would be helpful, and to hear from you all? And what are you guys wanting to share with each other? These solutions were amazing. All of them, from the things that Kent's doing in K-12, from the positive behavior reinforcements, which the acronym I can't remember, PBIS, that's it, that one, that's so popular in K-12 right now, to the scheduling of senior doctoral thesis for the music department is phenomenal. So what do you want us to dive deeper in, and what do we want to hear from you?
Yeah, just to piggyback on that, that's a really great, I love that, because it's not only one thing to hear from folks that are in the product group or tell you about what's coming, but how you're using it. Even when we sit and talk about like how we're using bookings, how we're using whiteboard, whatever those are, I think there's value in both learning the product and what things can do, and then what are the real life scenarios. So we would love to do that. That was probably one of my favorite office hours was just listening to everybody share what they're doing. So yes, either drop them in there, shoot us notes, put them in the team, whatever, but share what you can do. Dwayne, tell us quickly about that before we end the call.
What do you want to know?
Well, tell the friends, tell our friends what they can do.
I'm not sure why, but in my circles of people that I know, I've only seen one or two other Microsoft MVPs in education, and I was fortunate enough to get nominated. And calls like this are a part of that process, you know, giving feedback, presenting to the community, you know, just basically general contributions to advancing Microsoft technologies really matter. And so I just wanted to say, just because you may think you're a state employee in Florida, you're not. So you're a EDU employee, and so you are eligible for the Microsoft MVP award. And I was fortunate enough to have received that this month, so I'm super stoked about that. And so I just wanted to
Congratulations, by
encourage.
the way.
Yeah, thank you. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a lot of people on this call that really, 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 I mean, you're helping all of us. And so keep it up and,
Yes.
you know, reach out to a Microsoft FTE or reach out to another Microsoft MVP if you feel like your contributions are worthy of an MVP nomination. You know, either of those two people can do that. So make it happen.
Awesome. I'm going to need the link because I didn't even know that we were able to do
I was
that.
gonna
So
say, wait, we can nominate?
yeah.
Cause
So I'm going to be, y'all are going to be getting awards if I
Gonna
have
be an
something to do with it.
EDU revolution. I love it.
Yeah. Absolutely. Nick, do you want to share that really quickly? I know you're dropping some stuff in the chat, but do you want to share really, really quickly before we end the call?
Yeah, sure. So I just dropped in a link, aka.ms/power platform IAD for in a day. So just like app in a day, dashboard in a day, there are other in a day workshops. One of them that I didn't even know existed, but it's been around for over a year, is Power Virtual Agents in a Day. And I spent 3 days taking that workshop apart, and I absolutely love it. Like, it's pretty awesome. So these are still accessible through the events.microsoft.com. That's where you sign up for those, still partner driven and absolutely free. So dive into those and take a look at those and see if something that may tickle your fancy.
Awesome. Well, thank you to everybody who shared and gave us information. Dwayne has dropped that in there. I'm going to bookmark that because I've got some nominating to do. I'm going to stop.